Hi everyone, it's Orit Esther from Orit Talk, and in preparing these next coming days for Tisha B'Av and in trying to rectify and repair those parts within us that we need to look at, that we need to be able to face within ourselves. It got me thinking into the beautiful technique that we learn from the Baal Shem Tov, the world is your mirror. And what we basically learn here from this beautiful Torah is that whatever we meet, whatever people we meet, whatever circumstances we meet, everything is essentially a mirror. The world is a school classroom, and we're meant to learn something about ourselves. That when I look at someone else, when I look at a circumstance, when there's something that triggers me, that makes me feel uncomfortable, it's hard what I'm going to say, but it's really looking at myself in the mirror. And therefore, the Baal Shem Tov quotes the pasuk, "V'lachen hatzadik hagamur eino ro'eh shum dofi b'shum adam le'olam." The righteous does not see the flaws in other people. And why? Because if the righteous person doesn't have it in himself, those flaws, he's not going to see it in someone else. The only reason why we meet people along our pathways in our life, the only reason why we're married to our spouses, have the particular children we have, the in-laws, the parents, the siblings, and such, is because they are meant to show me, when I look at the mirror, I'm meant to see myself and to understand what needs to be corrected and altered within myself. Now, we know that Adam lo ro'eh nig'ei atzmo. A mankind does not see his own blemishes. So what does Hashem do? He enables me to see my flaws in someone else. So when I see something, again, the key point here is when I see something in someone else that bothers me, that triggers me, annoys me, saddens me, irritates me, it's like I've just received an invitation from God to take a look at myself, see what's going on in my own character, and to try to repair it. The idea is not to be focused on the other person anymore. The minute the other person showed me, reflected back to me, was my mirror, and reflected back to me what I need to repair within myself. And that goes as far as witnessing someone cheating, someone lying, someone, whatever it is, right? I have to see myself. And if I saw it in someone else, it must mean that I have it within me. Because like I said before, I would not have seen it. I wouldn't have witnessed it other than if I didn't have it within myself. Because again, the tzaddik will not see a flaw on someone else unless he has it within himself. And therefore, tzaddikim don't see flaws. They don't see wrongdoings because they have worked on themselves. They have elevated and corrected themselves to the point where they don't have it. And so if they don't have it, they don't see it. So again, let's look at this technique from understanding that it's an invitation. And particularly these days where we're working on our midot, where we're working on our attributes, on our Ahavat Yisrael, on loving our neighbor, on forgiveness, on being empathetic, on really stepping into the other person's shoes and saying, what could it be? What could be the reason why I saw this, why this happened to me? This idea of repairing our own mirror, where when I see something in someone else and it bothers me to the point where I have no rest, right? I need to know, even if it's just a shmutz, shemetz minehu, even if it's just a shmutz, a little blemish, Hashem is bringing that mirror to me so I could better see myself, because otherwise I would not have known that that blemish existed within me. What needs to be my eye-opener, the bulb sort of coming on, is how it bothers me. Does it bother me a lot? Then I have to be reassured that it must mean that I have a lot of those blemishes in me. And if it doesn't bother me a lot, it could be that it's just something small, but it is something that requires my attention and cleaning. Now, one of the ways that we could sort of look at our life in terms of the mirrors that we generally tend to see is we need to ask ourselves, what particular incident, event, character trait, what do I usually draw into my life? Some people tend to draw friendships or people, or seem to be surrounded by certain character traits embedded in people. Ungrateful, disrespectful, God forbid. I'm not belittling any of them. Cheaters even, liars, a sense of betrayal. So what we need to look at is, why are these similarities? Why do they keep running after me? Why do they keep chasing after me? And one of the things that we learn in a series that I am just finishing teaching, but will be teaching again in the future, called Crown to Kingship, is that we learn that deep within the recesses of our being, in our subconscious space, we know that we need to correct certain things. We know we've come down into this world to correct certain things. And Hashem wants us to not leave the world with blemishes. He wants us to be in tune with that which we need to correct. In order to do that, I need to be given the hints and the triggers to correct those particular parts. So essentially, when I meet things that are troublesome to me, I'm essentially, deep within me, I am calling them into my life. It sounds very, very difficult maybe on first end to comprehend and to hear, but there's a calling at me. And that calling at me of what I meet in my life is because I called it upon myself. Because deep within each and every one of us, we don't want to leave this world unfulfilled, or with blemishes, or with unrefined attributes. We want to refine, we want to correct, and we understand that the people that we meet are like coaches, coaching us to become better versions of ourselves. And so Hashem knows that this is our ratzon, because before we came down into this world, we acknowledged the fact that we were going to meet all kinds of different challenges, and that each challenge was going to coach us to become better Emuna athletes, if we want to call it. And so essentially, when we meet something, when we see something in somebody else, we need to ask ourselves for a moment, what is my calling at this moment? I need to be doing something right now. What I just saw and experienced has caused me to be jolted out of my comfort zone, right? What do I need to do right now? Maybe something for myself, maybe something for my family, maybe something for my community. And by the way, this goes both ways. Even if I see something, God willing, I see lots of things that are beautiful. I see someone doing a mitzvah. Maybe I see someone giving large, I heard about someone giving a large sum of money for tzedakah. These things also point to me that is in me as well. We're not only taking this, of course, to the negative, we're also taking this to the positive, because a mirror, after all, is going to show me when I've just worn some freshly pressed clothing. And it's also going to show me when I need to iron my shirt. So the question is, what is my responsibility? That's the goal. I have to look and say, what is my responsibility in this? How can I help myself or somebody else? What does God want from me when he's showing me this that irks me so much? Because there's a calling for me at this moment, right? So there's something in you, the other person that I am seeing, that their issues suddenly become alive in my brain, right? I find myself, when I see something that triggers me, I find myself living with the other person in my head. And that's by purpose. That's by purpose, so that I can essentially zoom into that place in my head, leave the other person. That person was hired, quote unquote, to show me my blemish. My job and responsibility to deal with the other person is finished. The minute they showed me what I need to correct, I have nothing more I need to do with them. Now, does that mean I shouldn't be, if it's a child, I shouldn't be looking to maybe educate them or discipline them or show them right from wrong? Absolutely. But as far as the emotional trigger, it ends the minute I recognize that I've been triggered. It ends with the person. Now it becomes about me. Now it doesn't become a self-sabotage. It doesn't become self-hatred and, oh, look how horrible I am. It becomes, there's a whole other new level of work that I need to do within myself when I am essentially finding out that I have something that needs to be corrected within me. And for that, we're going to go to tomorrow's or talk, God willing, and we're going to discuss a beautiful technique, also based on the Baal Shem Tov, based on the 3 levels of any transformation. There's a lot to be said about it, but there's a 3-part technique of any transformation, of any changing in one's life, that we should adapt, not only when it comes to seeing our blemished mirror, but also when it comes to anything that we want to, work on transforming and transcending in our life for the better. And we'll discuss that, God willing, in tomorrow's Orit Talk. But in the meantime, let's just sit with this and understand that instead of me analyzing the other person and passing judgment, I should take the emotions that arise within me, the chaotic emotions that arise within me, and understand that has nothing to do with the other person. It's all been done for me. The reason why they were invited into my life, the reason I witnessed something as I'm walking down the street, or I heard someone say something, the fact that I became angry or judgmental or critical or sad, that's my processing, right? It's not that someone else put me into this place. I need to embrace that mindset with an honest place. And when I do that, I live a completely different quality of life, because I recognize that Hashem is sending me messages. This is the way Hashem speaks to each and every one of us. He doesn't send us a postcard, and he doesn't put out, his big loudspeaker. He sends us people that push our buttons. I spoke about this quite a few times in my first book, Turnaround, 180 Degrees in 180 Days, where we go through the various different ways that Hashem speaks to us. And this is one of the most profound ways that Hashem speaks to us, is through the people and the circumstances of our life. God willing, let's open up our minds to that, and then we're going to learn further how we can, God willing, bring about the beginning stages of correcting it. Have a wonderful day.